Hi, I'm Chris Maragkakis of Simply Be Retreats and Therapies. I'm a life coach, therapist and podcaster. Welcome to Mindful Mutterings. Please like, share and subscribe. And as always, thanks for listening. Hi, thanks for joining me this week. So I'm going to be talking about stress really, and the way that it affects us and how we can manage it, and why we get ourselves into stressful situations in the first place. So essentially, stress is the feeling that we get when we allow ourselves or someone else to put us under pressure, or we find ourselves in an uncomfortable situation. And short bursts of stress can be helpful. They can help us to perform well or act quickly or step out of our comfort zone, which then has a long-term positive effect on resilience, self-worth and confidence. And when we get stressed, our body releases hormones such as adrenaline, cortisol and vasopressin. And these hormones help us to survive short stressful events by altering our bodily functions. And this then enables us to use our bodies and our brains to the best ability to deal with the emergency situation. But when the stress is continuous, they then have a harmful effect on the body, because this is not how they're supposed to be working, and can cause insomnia, heart disease, suppressed immune system, and even weight gain. And behaviourally, we can find ourselves, when we're stressed, becoming angry or impatient, emotional and exhausted. And this can obviously impact on our relationships, jobs and our interactions with our wider communities. And generally speaking, when we're feeling negative emotions like angry and impatience and feeling tired and exhausted, this is our way of making us kind of wake up, and it's almost like our body and our brain is screaming at us and saying, you need to be dealing with this. This is your wake up call. You need to look at what you're doing and you need to change things. So how do we reduce the stress in our lives? Well, number one, always is going to be the same with me: become mindful. Until we are aware of how we're feeling and the language we're using and the way we're interacting with the world, we cannot make any assumptions. We cannot work out what is not working for us, and we cannot be aware of the way that we are moving through the world that is not helpful to us. So by being aware of how we're feeling, we can detect the early signs of worry or pressure or feelings of overwhelm, and because we are aware, we can then deal with the situation swiftly. And this can be in any way, but it's just about maybe checking in with yourself during the day. Where are my thoughts? What am I doing? Am I rolling my shoulders? Am I giving myself a little bit of space to think? Who's putting me under this pressure? Is it me? Is it, my employer? Whatever it is. And then once we're aware, then we can start to look for solutions. Or quite often, solutions appear themselves because we've given ourselves space to just be. Number two is obviously creating that space and finding calm. And this can include so many things, but meditation, exercise, some kind of breath work, even just connecting with the breath and taking 3 deep breaths. Any activity that we find relaxing, or spending time in nature, anything that allows us to just quieten the thoughts of the brain down and give us time for the essence of us to be able to be heard, because we're so busy rushing around doing what we think we should do and being a human doing, that we forget that actually we're designed to be human beings, and we're supposed to flow through the world. We're supposed to have an easier ride through the world because we're listening to what our body wants. We're listening to what our purpose is, and we're working in harmony with the rest of the world. And it's only when we're not doing these things that stress arises, or anxiety or worry. So all of those activities can help quieten the thoughts that are produced by the brain, and they're the thoughts obviously that are putting us under pressure. We should be doing this. I don't have enough time. So and so is doing more than me. They've got more than me. I'm not as good at my job. All the thoughts that put us under pressure come from our brain, and they're not necessarily true, and they need to be questioned. And so that's your mindfulness and creating space. Then you come to number 3, which is setting boundaries. I mean, absolutely no one can work or nurture efficiently if you're not taking care of yourself. So if your workload is overwhelming, and you can't find a way to be more efficient or delegate or, automate processes, and it is purely that you are overwhelmed with the amount of work that you are being asked to do, then be proactive. Talk to management. They have a responsibility to help you to protect your well-being. And maybe there's a solution that you just haven't thought of, or maybe they need to do a study to see whether actually, because over the years you've picked up this task and that task and you've done your performance management and given three extra tasks every year, maybe they're just overloading you and that needs to be addressed. Um, and also, if it's family and friends that are causing you stress, then it's about having a clear, calm conversation with them, sharing expectations and most likely compromise. These are your best friends in this situation, because if you're not careful, you will be taken for granted and you will be disrespected, and that in its own right will cause you stress. And by placing these boundaries in place, you are taking control back. And you don't have to be rude and you don't have to be confrontational. But what you're doing is you're saying that, no, actually, I am a valid person. I deserve to be treated with respect and kindness, and I am overwhelmed at the moment, and I need to protect my well-being so that I can continue to be a good employee, a useful member of community, helpful to my family and friends. And also, people respect when you say no. No one respects someone that can be walked all over. And so putting healthy, reasonable and realistic boundaries in place is very empowering for both you and the person that you're dealing with, because there's clear guidelines and people know what to expect. Number 4, journaling or talking to a good listener. And pick your listener carefully, because a lot of people who you talk to aren't listening to help you or listening to learn and empathize with you. They're listening so that they can tell you what their experience was, or they're listening so that they can show you how clever they are at doing something, or or they're listening so that they can find fault. Pick your listener carefully and responsibly, because the idea of journaling and the talking is to get the thoughts out of our head. While they're all bouncing around in our head, we cannot think clearly, we cannot come up with a solution, and it feels overwhelming. I've said it before, but sometimes you just feel like you need to take your brain out, put it in a bucket of water, give it a good scrub, get rid of everything that's in there, put it back in and start again. And once you've written the thoughts down or you've talked them through with someone, they stop having so much power of us. And situations that previously just felt too much, suddenly we can see solutions that weren't previously clear to us, because we've given ourselves this safe environment to offload and become present. And when we are present, or living in the present moment, or present moment aware, however you want to refer to it, it is impossible to experience a negative emotion. And we can bring ourselves to the present using our breath or any of the methods I spoke to earlier. But as soon as we start to examine something, as soon as we bring it out into the open and it is literally in front of us, then we are dealing with the reality of the situation, not our beliefs around the situation. And it's that acceptance that helps us to come up with solutions and move forward in a positive and proactive way, rather than being triggered or feeling that we've got no control, or that we are overwhelmed or manipulated or being used or pressured. And that then helps us to build our resilience and our self-esteem and our self-worth and our confidence. And that gives us better problem-solving skills to go on through life. Every experience that happens to us is an opportunity to learn the skills that we're going to need in the rest of life. And by being mindful and being aware and creating space and using the thoughts that we have in a positive way, so through journaling or getting them out into the world, we can then start to see what is going well and what we can do positively to make the change. And so we are empowering ourselves, and through doing that we're empowering those around us, and that makes for a much less stressful environment all round. And then, of course, number 5 is making the changes. So once we've become aware of the stresses in our lives, and those stresses could be our own thoughts, work, family, friends, even societal expectations and the pressure that we put ourselves under to achieve all of those, we can then look at how we can change things to reduce, or ideally prevent us from suffering from prolonged stress or being stressed out. And this can involve delegating, or maybe it's about being honest and the job that we're doing doesn't align with our purpose and it's not making us happy and we resent it. And then it's about being proactive. If you don't like your job, find one that you do. Change it. The only person that can do that is you. If it's because you don't feel that you're spending enough time with family and friends and that's what you really want to do, then you have to look at your life and you have to look at what you can cut back or what you can change. Because if you're not doing what makes you happy and you're not living a balanced life, then the conflict that is constantly going on between your conscious and your subconscious is also causing you stress. And there are huge links between stress and anger and anxiety. And so it's about understanding how all of those impact on the way that we talk and the way that we behave and the pressure we put ourselves under. And if we can bring balance back into life, then okay, we might still have bad days, or we don't really have bad days. We have things that don't go to plan within a day, but we can deal with it more effectively. And so we might have a short, sharp burst of stress, or we might have a new experience that we've not dealt with before, and that puts us into a stressful situation. But this is then positive stress. And when it's done and the situation's been resolved, we can let that stress go. And we have strategies such as exercise and meditation and creating space to let go of all the energy that's been produced through that stressful episode. And then our bodies can go back to normal and regain their balance. And also, it could be that what you've actually worked out is that it's your mindset that's causing you the stress, and maybe there's some issues there that need to be worked through, and some beliefs that you've got that are not helpful, and some of your behaviours are contributing to your stress. Then that would be the time to contact a professional, and obviously you can contact me, or depending on the kind of work that you need, maybe you just need to put feelers out for someone that can help you. And so essentially, this is how we manage stress. The way to manage stress effectively is to be aware of the pressure that we are, like I said at the beginning, either allowing ourselves to be put under or putting ourselves under. And when we are then proactive in managing everything that goes around all of that, and that's our expectations and beliefs and behaviours and conditioning as well, then we can reduce the stressful episodes in our life. The day-to-day stress doesn't build and build and build. And then all those toxins that the body releases, and these hormones become toxic once they're not being released back out of the body, and once they're being prolonged, they are causing us damage. So once we're managing all that, then life goes a bit easier, because we're not in this heightened sense of reaction all the time. Because when we're reacting, we're not making wise choices. We are literally being triggered and working on autopilot, and then that causes more stressful situations in the future. Whereas when we can create space, and where we can be aware of what we're doing, and we can look proactively for situations to further our cause or solutions to the problems that we've got, then the short, sharp bursts of stress are just there to help us focus and work clearly, and our body is working as it should. And we are gaining that balance in our life between having experiences that help us grow, answering our basic needs as to who we are and what we want from life and how we achieve that, but also we're finding calm and a way to manage life without causing us future problems through stress and physical illness. So try using these tips over the next week. I mean, there are so many ways that you can manage stress. It's about finding out what works for you. But try these, see how you get on, let me know. And I hope that they improve your well-being. And as soon as your well-being improves, you'll find that your communication improves, and that improves your relationships, and then that helps everything else that follows on from there. Or if you feel that you would like to work with me and need help managing your stresses, or you know that you've got some mindset issues that you want to work with, then please get in touch. You can always contact me through the website simplybe.org.uk, or you can WhatsApp, text, I don't know, whatever, on 07974 618499. But whatever you do this week, please take care of you, and thank you for joining me. I hope you'll join me for the next one. Take care. Bye.